evening, Mr. Alator. This is Holly Connors Jimerson. This is my persuasive speech for Bryan Stratton College. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This evening, I would like to talk to you about a book that I wrote. I wrote a book about the Scorched Earth Campaign. The Scorched Earth Campaign is actually something that the Seneca Nation of Indians went through back in 1779. President George Washington decided that he didn't like us fighting against or for him, so he decided that he was going to take away everything that we needed to survive so that we would stop interfering with his battles with other countries. So he sent General John Sullivan and General John Clinton to come down to the Seneca Nation territories and burn all of our homes and burn all of our crops and take away everything that we needed to survive. So in that, I wrote my book. My book is about that Scorched Earth campaign, which is what that is called. Not only did I write about that, but I wrote also about a family that went through it. The family that I wrote about is fictional, but the family I thought that would make the book a little bit easier to read. I thought it would be interesting to learn how natives lived back then. The little girl in the book, I used actual members of the Seneca Nation to help me with this because she made corn husk dolls. So I talked with one of the members of the Seneca Nation to help me out with this because she is a master corn husk doll maker. She made this one. This is a gentleman dancer. He's a Seneca. He has the one feather sticking straight up. He's holding a rattle in his hand. Uh, she has very much detail involved in this, and there's techniques involved with it. So I used her expert skills to assist me with that. Um, Also, I talked with Joseph Bruhack. Joseph Bruhack was a member of the Seneca, not the Seneca Nation, I'm sorry, the Abenaki Indians. And Joseph wrote this book. I got to meet him once, and I talked to him about the book that I was intending on writing, and he thought it was a fantastic idea. He said, well, then, if you're planning on writing that book, he's like, read this book. This book is March Toward the Thunder. This book is about his grandfather. His grandfather was an Abenaki, of course, and he ended up going into the war, and he had to deal with the conflicts of it being native and working with outside tribes, races, and everything like that. So he told me that that would be a good source for me to help me out to write my book. And I jumped on the opportunity as I love Joseph's books. I've read many of them. Um, there's also many other different aspects that I included within my book because I felt that there's a lot of details that people should know about the Seneca Nation. I'm very proud of my heritage. I think that some of the members here in the audience are actually from my heritage. It's nice to see you again, Sally. Um, the Seneca Nation also, after they lost their lands, they lost their homes. They ended up having to walk. They walked for a long, long time. When they finally got to Fort Erie, which was their destination, they hit the worst winter known in history, and they lost a lot of people. In fact, we had hundreds of thousands of members of the Seneca Nation at that time, and we lost half of our tribe then. The U.S. Army decided to bury all of our people in mass graves. They just dug up these big, huge holes, and they threw my people into it, and they covered them up with lime, and then they buried them back up, patted it down. They never marked the graves. We don't know where these people have been buried exactly. But I lost a lot of my people, and it makes me wonder, and it makes me think because, the Jews went through that, and then we sort of, it seems like we went through that. I mean, not only, there's different instances within the Seneca Nation's history of more harsher things that the United States Army or the United States has put on my people, but it saddens me, and I want other people to know. So that's why I wrote this book. I included so many different things. I plan on writing a second book to continue on to write more about what's going on with the Seneca Nation nowadays. We have casinos and we have gasoline. We have a lot of different things that helps us to sustain a lifestyle that we're now becoming more accustomed to. My people were very poor back in the 60s. We lived in shacks. We didn't have running water. We went and peed out in the woods. I mean, it was so bad for us. The United States didn't help us. We're lucky to even still be around. Honestly, I think that if they could have, they would have just gotten rid of us completely. But that's why they put us on reservations, right? Because then we're in a contained area and they don't really have to deal with us. I want you to read this book because I put a lot of hard work into it. I liked I loved it. I mean, I can't imagine not have done this in my life. I feel like I found a sort of a calling in my life that this is what I should be doing. I should be telling people and talking to people and telling them the sort of things that, the history books don't tell us. I thank you for your time. And I look forward to talking to you again because I hope that you will be invigorated and you will learn something about the things that I've included within my book. And I hope that you'll decide that this is something that you want to pass on to your children so that they know the truth as well. I thank you for your time. Have a good evening.